All right, welcome back, students, to another episode of Math with Mr. Young. So we have 4.2 percents and decimals. So today our objective is that you will be able to write percents as decimals and decimals as percents. Our standard is 6th grade number sense A, and our mathematical literacy is percents and decimals. All right, for 4.2 percents and decimals, our success criteria is that we'll be able to draw models to represent decimals and also to explain why the decimal point moves when we multiply and divide by 100, and to write percents as decimals and decimals as percents. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're going to do some mathematical literacy, and by that I mean vocabulary words. Now the first one, we're just going to piggyback right off the last lesson, 4.1. So we have percents. Now that means per 100. Percentages are ratios that compare a quantity to 100. For an example, 33% means 33 per 100. And that also can be written as a fraction, 33 per 100, or 33 out of 100, or 33 hundredths. Okay? Remember, when you have a decimal number, you have place values. Okay? Now the first digit after the decimal point to the right is going to be your tenths place. Okay, tenths with a THS. And then after that, it's the hundredths place. Okay, so on and so forth to your thousandths, your 10,000ths, your 100,000ths, and so on and so forth. So we read this as a decimal number, 33 hundredths. Okay. Now, again, as a decimal number, this is in a base 10 system. So we're talking about a decimal number, and this is often used to mean a number that uses a decimal point followed by digits that show a value smaller than 1. So for an example, remember, decimal numbers are smaller than one whole number. Okay, so we're talking about smaller numbers, less than 1. So here, if you move that decimal point to the left, okay, remember we're jumping by each space that you jump, okay, if we're moving the decimal point to the left, we're jumping by tens. So each time you jump to the left, you're dividing by 10 each jump. So if we move the decimal point over 3 times, we're dividing by 1,000. So if we move it over once to the left, we're dividing by 10. If we move it to the left one more time, we're dividing by 10 more. If we move it to the left again, we're dividing by another 10. So we're dividing by 1,000 if we move it to the left 3 times. Again, if you're moving the decimal point to the right, you're multiplying by 10 each jump. For an example, if we have, let's say, 1 here, and we're going to the right 3 times, 1, 2, 3, okay, we're moving that decimal point, we're multiplying by 10 more, and by 10 more. So we're really just multiplying by 1,000. All right, so again, decimal points, pay attention. Each time you move to the left, you're dividing by 10 each time you move. If we move the decimal point to the right, you're multiplying by 10 each jump, okay? All right, for this first example, we're going to interpret models. Now remember, interpret means to understand. We want to understand, and models means a diagram. A diagram is really just a picture. So when we interpret models, we want to understand what these pictures are showing. Now these are 2 separate problems, so let's focus on the first one right here, okay, to the left. Now all we want to do is to write a percent and a decimal shown by each model. So what that means, you have this 10 by 10 grid. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 columns. You have 10 columns. Okay. Now the columns go, your y-axis is vertical up and down. Now let's count the rows. You have 1 row, let's see here, 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, 6 rows, 7 rows, 8, 9, 10 rows. You have 10 rows. So again, 10 by 10, you have this 10 by 10 grid that equals 100 units. So there are 100 units inside this 10 by 10 grid. So that means if we write it, the percent, we're going to write this percent here. We have 100 units. Okay, that's our denominator. And all we want to do is count the numbers that are shaded in. So if this row is 10, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10, 20, 30, 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be, as a fraction, 33 out of 100, or 33 per 100. Now we want to write this as a percent first, and then as a decimal. So this is going to be equivalent to, as a percent, 33%. And as a decimal, it's going to be less than 1, so 33 hundredths. Okay? All right. So there you go. Now let's go on to the next model. Again, this is a 10 by 10 grid, 10 columns, 10 rows, but we're just going to count, again, it's going to be per 100, so we're going to write it as a fraction first. Now we're going to count all the shaded boxes, the shaded units. So 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. 37 per 100, 37 out of 100, and as a percentage, it's going to be 37%. Okay, 37%. And as a decimal, it's going to be 37 hundredths. Okay. All right, there you go. And that's how we interpret models, how we understand pictures, and then, bring information out. All right. So we wrote it as a fraction. We wrote it as a percentage. And we wrote it as a decimal number. All right. Now remember, percents, fractions, and decimals, remember, they have the same parents. They're all siblings. They're all the same, but we're just representing them in their own unique ways. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. All right, so now we're going to write percents as decimals. Now we have 52%. So we're going to write 52% and 7% as decimals. We're going to use a model to represent each decimal. So what we're going to do is we have 52%. Now what I want you guys to do is knock off the percent sign. Okay, knock the percent sign off. Now if you have 52, a whole number, remember that your decimal point for any whole number is to the right side of the last digit. So we're going to be dividing by 100. So we're going to go dividing by 10, dividing by 100, right there. So we should have... let's see here. We should have 0.52 as a decimal number. Okay, so there you go. So again, to write a percent as a decimal number, knock off the percent sign, move that decimal point to the left 2 times. Now remember, when you do that, we are dividing by 100. Here's what I mean. So if we have 52%, we have 52%. Now, remember, percents per 100. That is going to be equivalent to 52 per 100. But if we really think about it, we're going to be dividing 100 by 50, or 52 divided by 100. So how many times can 100 go into 52? Well, it can't. Okay, so it can't. So put a 0 there. But if we annex a 0 here, how many times 100 go into 520? Well, 5 times. 100 times 5 is going to be 500. 20 is left over. Annex into 0, bring that down. 100 can go into 200 twice. 100 times 2 is 200. 0. Okay, so again, our quotient is 52 hundredths, just like what we did there. So remember, we are dividing by 100 when we move that decimal point to the left 2 times. Okay, so 1 time, 2 times. That's what I mean by 2 times. So when we look at this, I'm going to zoom in. When we look at this as writing a percent as a decimal, you have your percent. We're writing it as a fraction. So remember, as a fraction, you're actually dividing 52 per 100. Per means to divide. So again, we have 52 divided by 100, and we get 52 hundredths. All right, so that's what we mean by dividing by 100. Now, to show this as a model, we're going to go ahead and color, and we're going to color 52 units. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 51, 52. So I wish I had crayons. Maybe that's something I can invest in, is buying some crayons. Make this look a little bit better. but we colored and shaded in 52 units out of the 100 total units there. All right. One more example. So again, we have 7%. We want to write that as a decimal number. So again, what we're going to do is knock off the percent sign. Your decimal point's there, and we move the decimal point to the left 2 times. 1, 2. Decimal point there, so that you annex zeros. So you should have 7 hundredths as a decimal point. Now again, we're going to do some quick math. This time I'll do it right in the middle. So again, you have 7%. That's 7 per 100, which means we divide 7 divided by 100. So we're dividing by 100 when we move that decimal point to the left twice. Okay. So here we go. 100 can't go into 7 at all. Annex 0. 100 can't go into 70 at all, but 100 can go into 700 7 times. 7 times 100, 700. 700 take 100, or 700 0, and your quotient is going to be 7 hundredths. All right, so there you go, and that's how we write percents as decimals. Again, when you write percents as decimals, you move that decimal point to the left 2 times after you knock the percent signs off. And lastly, make sure that we shade in 7 boxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So again, we use this model to represent 700. So 7 out of 100 units are shaded. Okay, next we are going to write decimals as percents. We're going to go back the opposite way. So we're going to write 47 hundredths as a percent. So again, just pay attention to what I do here. So we're going to write 47 hundredths as a percent. So now that we're going from we're going from decimals to percent. That decimal point we're moving to the right 2 times. So we multiply by 10 and multiply by 10 more. Just remember, we're multiplying by 100. So this is going to be 47%. That decimal number to a percent. So to prove this, we have 47 hundredths times 100. Okay. 0, 0, zeros, annex is 0, 0, 0, annex is 2 zeros, 7, 4, 0, add. So you're going to have basically 4700 right here. Okay. Now you have 2 decimal points there. So we're going to go 1, 2, put it there. Okay. So this 47 means 47%. Okay. So again, let's do the next one. So this time we have 663 ten thousandths. We're going to write that as a percent. So again, 663 ten thousandths. I'm sorry, 663 thousandths. That's my fault. Now we're going to move that decimal point to the right twice. 1, 2, and put it there. So as a fraction, this will be 66.3%. Okay, so for this one, we're writing decimals as percents. We're going to be multiplying by 100. That means we move the decimal point to the right 2 times. Now we have 1 8/10. 1 8/10. We're going to write that as a percent. Again, move that decimal point to the right twice. 1, 2. Stop there. Annex to 0. So this will be 180%. Okay. Next one, you have 9 thousandths. We're going to write that as a percent. So we have 9 thousandths. So 0.009, 9 thousandths. So here's your tenths, hundredths, thousandths. We're going to move the decimal point to the right twice. 1, 2. We're multiplying by 10 more. So we're really multiplying by 100. So this will be equivalent to 0.9%. And that's all we do when we write decimals as percents. Now remember, when we write percents as decimals, percents to decimals, we divide. But on the other side, when we convert decimals back to percents, we multiply. Okay. All right, for this one, we're going to write a fraction as a percent and as a decimal. So let's listen to this situation. So on a math test, you earn 92 out of a possible 100 points. Which of the following is not, one more time, which of the following is not another way of expressing 92 out of 100? So down below, we have 92 out of 100, okay? So that can definitely be reduced because 92 and 100 are both composite numbers. Well, if we divide each by 4, I'm going to come out with 23 over 25 because 4 divided by 100 is 25. I'm sorry, 100 divided by 4 is 25 and 92 divided by 4 is 23. So this reduced form I see there. So I know it's not A because, that's, right. Again, 92 out of 100 as a percent is going to be 92 per 100. So I know it's there, so this is not it. Okay. As a decimal, that 92 out of 100 would be 92 hundredths. And again, D, I see that there. So again, on a math test, you earn 92 out of a total possible 100 points. Which of the following is not another way of expressing this? Well, 17 out of 20. So if I were to take 17 out of 20, 20 can't go into 17, but 20 can go into 170 about 8 times. 20 times 8 is going to be 160. 10. 20 can go into 105 times. Just 100. So that's going to be 85 hundredths. In other words, 85%. Now this is not equivalent to 92%, so I know it's C because C is not another way of expressing 92 out of 100. All right, so again, we're looking for equivalency. Equivalency from fractions, decimals, and percents. Again, they're all related. They're all siblings, same parents, multiplication, division. Okay. And there we go. So by now, for 4.2 decimals and percents, our success criteria, by now you should be able to draw models to represent decimals. You should also be able to explain why the decimal point moves when we multiply and divide by 100. And also, you should be able to write percents as decimals and decimals as percents. Okay. So pay attention, ask questions if you guys don't understand, and I'm here for you. We'll see you guys later.